All right, let's welcome in our guy, Tom Murphy, into the Morning Rush. He joins us every Monday and Thursday here around 7:20. Tom, we appreciate it as always, buddy. We got football, basketball, and baseball to talk. But we'll start with this Arkansas basketball team. Just the excitement and the sense that you get from this fan base. How big was this win for the Arkansas basketball program last night to finally get the monkey off its back?
Yeah, supersized, and in a season with great anticipation that had that great run late in conference play. What this does is, if you lose the game, then we had a great year, but we got a bad matchup. Texas Tech, a team that's got a bunch of veteran guys who know how to play, gritty grinders. But no, instead you win the game, and now when you reach the Sweet 16, it puts this team on. It gets its own little page in the media guide, kind of a thing. It's that big. And I agree with you. What the guy did, he got what he wanted, a lot of attention, and I do believe it was a relatively ill-informed take. But that's what guys do, man. They have hot takes that are on national shows. And if Arkansas and Musselman and his staff could find one dude out there somewhere, anywhere, who disrespects them and tells them that, hey, Oral Roberts is now the hot team, and watch out, Oral Roberts is going to beat Arkansas, they're going to play that to the hilt. I mean, that's right in their wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. So I just think Chris Beard described it this way: classic NCAA tournament game. Either team could have won. Arkansas, with the big lead, when they were up 12, and then Texas Tech clawed back, and then they pushed it back to 8. I thought that might be, the tipping point, that they could stay up. But no, Texas Tech, super, super gritty team. I love their fight, and that's what Chris Beard talked about last night in his post game. I think both teams, Arkansas clearly went with a thinner bench, and I do believe at the end of both halves, both teams lost their legs a little bit. Because if you saw the scoring late in the first half, late in the second half, there wasn't a lot of it. And I think that it's incumbent upon Arkansas to try to get Vanover a few more minutes, to try to get Desi more involved in the flow, because he can be such a spark player, as this thing goes forward.
So, Tom, you got a rematch in the Sweet 16 game against Oral Roberts, and they're part of the good non-conference schedule that Muss and Anthony Ruda and all those guys put together. Arkansas's either a 9 or 11-point favorite. Are you surprised to see them this heavy the way Oral Roberts has won their first two games?
Well, I mean, not a super surprise, because Arkansas is one of those elite teams. I mean, Arkansas is in that batch of teams that people are like, okay, this team can go all the way. This team can win it. And Oral Roberts is still in that kind of, wow, they're upsetting people. But I watched a big chunk of the end of the Ohio State game, and Oral Roberts was there, not backing down. Their star players, Abmas and Ovenar, those guys are good, and they've got a lot of good role players. Arkansas knows how tough a game it was the first time against Oral Roberts, but the good thing is they've already prepared for them, and they've got that supersized stack going for them when Eric Musselman's teams have 4 more days. I think it's 14-0 now, guys, so this is going to be another one, but I still think it's going to be a hard-fought game.
Yeah, going to have a lot of fun having this conversation throughout the week. I want to talk a little football with you, because had a lot of fun watching. I didn't get to go to the scrimmage on Saturday. I chose to watch basketball, I guess, rather than go. You were there. What was it, 120 or so plays? You could sum it up better than I. It looked like both sides of the ball made some plays. Got to see what you wanted out of Burks and Traylon Smith, and the quarterbacks held on to the ball too long. Is that pretty well the gist of it, Tom?
That was a lot of it. And I'll say this. When you haven't seen a scrimmage in 2 years, because we didn't see any fall scrimmages, we didn't see any spring last year, to see the style at which this Sam Pittman coaching staff and these players operate at, it looked like a team that was in the middle of this, like in season. It was that spirited, and the fans, there were several rounds of applauses from the fans that, oh my gosh, it's a sunny day. We are watching actual football. I tried to capture that a little bit in my story, that the COVID-19 had gotten us all down, mentally. It's been so tough. And for this one day to go out there in the sun and watch those guys run around, and, nobody got really hurt. it was a joy.
Yeah.
Yes, KJ Jefferson and Malik both have got strides to make. I mean, that's just the way it is in the game. I mean, even if they had a super day, you'd say, okay, keep getting better. But much like Felipe did, I just think Kendall Browse is like, don't turn the ball over. And so you think twice about throwing into coverage and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they've got to either decide to pull and go or to throw passes incomplete, throw them away. You don't take those sacks. I do think they'll keep improving. But they still had their moments. The touchdown to Burks by KJ, it was a rollout play from the 18. Beautiful touchdown. He hit Blake Kern with a touchdown pass where there was some type of blown coverage by the first unit. And Hornsby also, he hit John David White. I think it was like a 36-yard catch, and then Dominic Johnson pounds it in there on the next play. So there's a lot of positives for both sides of the ball, and it wasn't any kind of domination like Sam Pittman said, and that's what you want to see as a coach. And I just thought Traylon Smith had a beautiful scrimmage. Just I had him at 9 carries for 82 yards. Just right from the get, he had a couple of big runs against the 2 defense. I would protect him. And I don't know if Sam Pittman and his group are, like, super into that, but I wouldn't give him a whole lot of live tackling, and when fall camp is going on, because he's a valuable commodity for Arkansas.
Now, I was reading your account of Saturday's open scrimmage, and looked like 5 sacks that, they were protecting the quarterbacks, and those were ones, and there were a few more where they got to them but didn't bring them down.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
Now Sam accounted. He said it was the quarterback's hanging on to the ball too long. There were a couple of interceptions. Was this a head coach who's a former offensive line coach saying it was the quarterback's fault, or is the offensive line look better? Paint the picture for me on how the offensive line looks and how much of this pressure on the quarterback was O-line and how much of it truly was the quarterback holding on to the ball too long.
Well, obviously a combo. I mean, if you can hold out just another second longer, maybe the quarterback makes a play. But I also do think that in full stride in the season that KJ would have some escapability on a few of those, and Hornsby as well. But those guys are already good quarterbacks. They just have to keep being refined. Look, Dorian Gerald had a good day, and I can't tell you exactly who he was matched up against, but he had a couple of sacks. There was obviously some blitz pressure because Poole and Morgan and Slusher, I think Jaden Johnson had a sack. So those are, DBs and linebackers. So I was over on the east sidelines for some of it, and Malik Hornsby came over and was talking to Trey Knox and Traylon Burks, and he's like, "Man, they're bringing pressure on every play." It was like, okay. So Barry Odom wasn't messing around. They weren't just, hey, we're going to go generic and make sure our quarterbacks can go through their reads. No, they were bringing pressure because that's the way it's going to be in games. But look, some of those were legit sacks. The O-line still has a ways to go, but I think they're going to be a better unit this year.
We're talking with Tom Murphy here on the Morning Rush. Tom, we got a text in here from Justin this morning on our VotalLaw.com live stream asking about Rocket Sanders. Did he have an impact on Saturday?
Yeah, man, you could tell. I mean, so this guy is new at running back, but he had a 35-yard run that sparked a touchdown drive, and you could just see there was some tackle breaking, staying on his feet, good balance. When you're a premier athlete like he is, they're going to find a place for you, and if he can pick up the blitz stuff, because Sam Pittman said he's still learning that, and obviously when you're a fresh running back, understanding where the blitz pressure is going to come from and what you have to do is very critical. But, the upside for Rocket Sanders, I would love to see a little thunder and lightning with Traylon Smith and him. And Dominic Johnson had a good scrimmage, too, no question. Javian Hunt's going to be a good running back. So I think they're getting some good tailbacks on this campus.
Tommy, you've had a busy week here, man. You think about this Arkansas basketball team that you're covering remotely, and I don't know, Bob, and Bob's doing that as well. You think about baseball, just Arkansas gets a series win over the Alabama Crimson Tide. I know you probably focus more on football this weekend, but it didn't start out great. They got clobbered the first night, but what did you think about the baseball team responding and getting 2 straight wins these past 2 days?
Nobody likes to get embarrassed like 16-1 on Friday night. I mean, that was eye-opening. The 10-run inning was just a total anomaly. But you know what? The pitcher, both Zebulon Vermillion and Lyle Lockhart had a wonderful start. The runners first and third, 3-hole hitter up, and they decided to go with Kevin Kopps, that Zach Denton guy, a really good right-handed hitter. So they made him bat left-handed against Kopps, and he struck him out. But the bats responded in the Saturday game, and then you get a Slavens home run, guy who got spiked on Friday night. Thank goodness that wasn't a big time injury, or you're losing a huge bat there. But he hit the home run. Opitz, with 2 strikes, the shortstop moved more up the middle because that's what Opitz had shown to do. But he guided one into the shortstop hole that was the 2-run single that was put him over the top basically in this game. So you were very concerned about Friday, but I do believe now that Patrick Wicklander has a good chance to be in the weekend rotation. And I know Mississippi State won its series against LSU. I didn't hear the score from yesterday, but they won the first 2. They're going to be very, very formidable at Duty Noble Field for the Razorbacks. And here's where it really starts. Every weekend is going to be a battle, and just to try to win series is the big deal.
Tougher than football. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's tougher than football to win in the SEC West in baseball.
Really, really is, y'all. And I had a conversation with Hunter Yurachek about this recently, about even in football next year, you feel better about the Razorbacks, but it's who shows up on that day. They showed up to beat Ole Miss, and they showed up to beat Mississippi State, and should have beaten Auburn. But next year, that doesn't guarantee you that you can win home games against Mississippi State and Missouri and these teams. You got to show up that day. And I think Sam Pittman, Hunter Yurachek, Eric Musselman, they all know that. Dave Van Horn, got to have your team ready to go.
Tom, good stuff. Great recap of all of it from the weekend. We'll talk to you on Thursday.
Sounds great, guys.